Wednesday tomorrow.
Call the regular City Commission meeting of Tuesday, January 10th, 2012 to order. May we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we take roll.
Commissioner Bushy?
Here.
Commissioner Kuziak?
Here.
Commissioner Perry? Here. Commissioner Rubino?
Here.
Mayor Costelli?
Here. We're all here. Next item is consideration of the following minutes. Regular meeting held Tuesday, December 13th, 2011. Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move the minutes of the regular City Commission meeting held Tuesday, December 13, 2011 be approved as recommended.
Is there support?
Support.
May we take a vote?
Commissioner Rubino?
Yes.
Commissioner Bushy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuziak?
Yes.
Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
Mayor Costelli?
Yes, motion carries. Next item is the consideration of the December 2011 disbursement report. Amy.
Payroll and accounts payable were provided to all of you prior to the meeting. Payroll for the month of December was $56,500.07, and accounts payable was $692,903.36, of which $353,327.89 were in tax liabilities.
Questions as to the disbursement report? Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that the December disbursement report be approved as listed.
Is there support?
I second that.
May we take a vote?
Commissioner Bushy?
Yes.
Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuziak?
Yes.
Commissioner Rubino?
Yes.
Mayor Costelli?
Yes, motion carries. Next item is the consent agenda. Sherry.
Mayor, one thing before I address the consent agenda, there was an item that I thought perhaps you might want to address early on, and that's the new language added under public discussion.
Well, I was going to address it then, but I'll address it now.
Okay.
There was new language added under public discussion items not on the agenda as a result of a misunderstanding between Ms. Ball and one of the commissioners who she thought was requesting language of that sort be placed there. It's patterned after language in other municipalities, school districts, and the like. But it apparently was not the request being made. And we've lived without that type of language for 90-some years, so I have no problem living without that language anymore.
I agree.
Consent agenda. Sure, go ahead.
Consent agenda. There are two items on the consent agenda for the commission consideration. One is a resolution in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, and the second is a proclamation recognizing January as Volunteer Blood Donor Month. My recommendation is that the consent agenda be approved.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move the consent agenda be approved as recommended.
Is there support?
Support.
May we take a vote?
Commissioner Rubino?
Yes.
Commissioner Bushy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuziak?
Yes.
Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
Mayor Costelli?
Yes, motion carries. Next item is consideration of the City Commission liaison reports. Working from my left, Commissioner Perry.
The Ferndale School, the Ferndale schools have been very active because they're getting ready for a bond. Let's see, what's it called? The school's bond issue to have it extended. And so tomorrow night, Superintendent Gary Myers is going to speak up at 4 Ridge Road at 6 o'clock. And it is very informative, and hopefully everyone will come. There's some great frequently asked questions that the school has put together, the school system has put together, that I think, I have some extra copies here, but you can access them online. And so hopefully people will come tomorrow night and check that out. But also you can get a lot of information at ferndaleschools.org. And also I've been working on the transportation committee, and there are many different groups with that, but things are very
This
fluid.
is totally unrelated to the schools.
Yes. Yes, the next
Woodward
thing.
transportation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the next thing that I'm working on is the Woodward Transportation Committee, or some of the organizations.
Whatever it's
for
called.
that. Yeah. the transit stuff. And so that it is extremely fluid what's happening. You know, we have a wonderful group that I'm a part of, which is called the Central Woodward Coalition, and they are keeping me very up to date on things. So right now, you know, light rail is still up for grabs or still on the table with certain parts of Detroit, going from downtown to the new center area. And then also, you know, bus rapid transit is definitely being discussed in many areas, and there are alternatives. There are alternative studies being conducted and being put together. And then also the Troy Transit Center is possibly back in play as well, which we will find out. They're going to have a special vote sometime this week. It sounds like last night's council meeting in Troy was very interesting, so you may want to look that up, because that sounds like the mayor made a 20-minute discussion about that. So transportation, our regional transportation stuff is hot in the area right now. That's all I have. Thank you.
The Planning Commission and DDA didn't meet the last month, and we are getting ready to meet this upcoming Monday regarding some zoning issues with lot size and lot setbacks, and so I'll have more information next month.
Thank you. Commissioner Revere.
Historical Commission. I was unable to attend their meeting, however, the chairperson, Mrs. Yupan, was considerate enough to let me meet with her yesterday and go over the things that happened at the historical meeting. They're having a speaker series, which is going to be January 26th at Ridge Road. It's open at 6:30, and it actually starts at 7. And the speakers are going to talk about the 3 houses in Pleasant Ridge, 47 Cambridge, 31 Elm Park, and 20, actually it's 47 Oxford, I apologize. 47 Oxford, 31 Elm Park, and 20 Cambridge. So it's going to be very interesting. It's open to the public, and there's no cost involved for the public. They elected their officers, same officers as last year, and they have a home tour scheduled for June 9th of 2012. The list of the houses will be forthcoming. I don't have a whole list right now. I think it'd be interesting for you to attend. Thank you very much.
And those speaker series have been often, even though there's no charge, sold out, so to speak.
Yes.
So if you want to, do they reserve a place in advance, Sherry? Is that how it works?
Yes, absolutely, because of capacity of the room.
Thank you. Commissioner Krzyjak.
Thank you, Mayor. For the Rec Commission, our December meeting, because of its conflict with the holiday, was postponed until tomorrow, and now I'm sad to announce that it's been canceled for tomorrow, but our regular meeting for January is scheduled for the 25th, upcoming Wednesday. I encourage all residents who are interested in participating in the upcoming year's recreation scheduling and planning to please come out and join the conversation on Wednesday, January 25th. One event I would like to report on that was a success. I did not attend Dan the Creature Man's appearance at the rec center, but I talked to some neighborhood kids who were fortunate enough to attend, and they raved about Mr. Creature Man's appearance, particularly Chubbs. A huge American bullfrog was the star of the show, apparently, and
It's huge.
Yeah, that was a recurring favorite of the kids who had attended. One of the parents who I talked about said that it was a great value. For $15, it was an admission and it included pizza. $15 for the entire family.
Right.
Nice.
So it was a great low cost opportunity for a family to go out on a Friday night, and the residents that I talked to were really appreciative. And one of the moms who I spoke to said Dan was very patient with the kids and a great entertainer. So I can interpret that as a success for Dan the Creature Man.
You kept a straight face every time you said his name.
Thank you, Mayor.
Next item is governmental reports. Elaine, you're always first.
Admittedly, I've been on break for the holidays, and we're just back this week, so I really don't have much agenda to report. You know, we're accepting a few grants. It's a very light week. But I do want to follow up to the legislation, you know, that we talked about last month that was passed on redistricting. And I do appreciate the city taking a stand, but the governor did sign the legislation that rewrites the law on how we redistrict. And it's an interesting process right now. We are challenging the law. We did file a lawsuit against the statute for a variety of different reasons, timing being a really big issue. As the law is written, is that it doesn't take effect for 90 days. So it was signed in December, so that takes us into March. And then there's 30 days to draw districts, and then that would take you into mid-April, and then candidates have to file by mid-May. And it doesn't, the timing issue doesn't allow for any court challenges. And right now, you know, the existing statute allows for court challenge. And so we're not sure how it's going to play out. We're asking for an injunction, filed a suit. It is in Ingham County to be heard. Whether the judge will issue an injunction, we don't know. How it's going to go through the parallel, you know, the court system, I can't tell you. So you have that statute, and then you have the...
Elaine, can I interrupt for a second?
Yes.
How does that timetable interact with the period of time in which normally you can pull petitions and then have them back to be on the ballot?
Well, that's really, you know, right now,
Seems short.
It is very short. You have, you know, technically, I could file now for the court-approved reapportionment that went through process last year.
But if you waited for the final
Then
reapportioned district, do you have enough weeks?
Maybe a month.
And what's the normal time period? Is it a month or is it 6 weeks?
Unlimited. You know,
Okay.
it's, I could file now and have 6 months or, you know, a year.
Okay.
You know, so it limits that piece. You know, certainly candidates can pay money rather than go for signatures, but it's a very short turnaround for a prospective candidate to say, I'm going to run for this district, I'm going to raise money. You know, it's very different than the existing reapportionment process. So you parallel that timetable in the new statute, and we still have a Court of Appeals sanctioned reapportionment process. And that case did not go to the Supreme Court because the attorney representing that case, Michael Bishop, did not file it in time. He missed it by a couple of days. And so by statute, where courts can sometimes make exception, by statute it clearly says X amount of days, and he missed it by 2. So that stays the Court of Appeals. So, other objections in the lawsuit. We spent as county taxpayers $75,000 on the reapportionment process. And I did approve that, and what we did is we purchased computer programming that helped draw up the districts. And I swallowed really hard about spending that money the first time around. And I can't approve it the second time around. You know, I just don't understand why we have to do that. And so, you know, there's some other objections, but really the checks and balances in this new legislation. I am concerned. Piece of the legislation puts the power of the redistricting in the hands of the county commission, and we on the south end have always been a minority voice, no matter what political party you are. But our issues that we care about, transportation, arts, you know, urban, inner ring things, I can see in the redistricting that they will try and eliminate some of the representation on this part of the county. So I'm very concerned for all of us. And some, you know, examples of where I've advocated and represented us, you know, our Catalpa, the whole park strategy, getting Catalpa Park, the urban park strategy, the zoo village, county commissioners have to put ballot language on, and having the South End commissioner voice leading it on behalf of all of us was important. I hear, I'm told that there's going to be a Detroit Institute of Arts ballot put on, ballot language proposed. And once again, without representation, fair representation on this end of the county, I'm not sure that the Oakland County Commission will certify ballot language to support an arts organization. So, not even letting people vote. I'm concerned about issues like that we all care about. So, just want to let you know.
All good news, huh?
What?
That's not good news.
It's not good news, but it's the reality, and we're going forward. I'm going to be raising money to support this legal challenge, and they can't just roll over me. I gotta fight for the democratic process and allow the checks and balances.
Is there any time limit on when you think the judge is going to rule on your injunction?
Well, I'm supposed to, a group of us are meeting with the attorney, so I don't understand the worst and the best case scenario. What I know that our motion cannot be, our filing cannot be heard from for 28 days from filing. So that takes us into the beginning of February. But we are trying to go for a temporary injunction that would stay, this statute from going forward, but then it can be appealed and so forth.
Oh.
So I don't, I'll be better educated after next Friday when I can ask those questions.
Other questions of Commissioner Zach?
Yes. I just want to say thank you for your diligence on this issue. I think it's really important that we have an advocate on this issue at the county level.
Thank you.
You mentioned you're raising money to support the legal challenge. Is there a way that residents who share your concerns could be involved, not only with helping you raise money, but for getting information?
If residents, and already, one of the residents sitting here, I was read letters to the editor. We're beyond that, but obviously talking about in the media that, this isn't the democratic way. If anybody is interested in getting involved, contact me at, and I'm on the county website, or HeleneZach@gmail.com. or 248-546-7392. Let me know, and I will get you involved in the process, any way, that we can. So I appreciate it.
Anybody else? Thank you, Helene.
Thanks,
Thank
Lon.
you.
Chief. He beat you up there, Ted. He just stood up as opposed to raising his hand.
Mr. Mayor, Commission, I just have one thing for tonight. We're forming a CERT team, which is a community emergency response team. So for disasters or bad storms and that, we can have some civilians that'll be well trained and equipped to assist the police departments and the fire department and squelching safety issues throughout when we're stretched thin. We're going to have a meeting on Saturday at 10 a.m. at fire headquarters, which is at 1635 Livernois, and we're really formatting the team. I'm meeting with the county, who's pulling CERT teams together on Thursday and trying to coordinate efforts in that. So we're getting fired up. I'm just a little bit behind the ball and getting everybody rolling here.
What kind of role do you envision the volunteers having, Chief?
For instance, on storms and that, we would be the initial responders to check for gas leaks if it's explosive, or wires down in that. And then if we had to park someone there to keep it safe from kids or other people wandering in, we would be using them in that capacity. They wear a green vest and a green helmet. I don't know, you remember back the days of civil defense? It's kind of a federal reconstitution of the civil defense
I
program.
remember Tuck and Cover. That's
Well, it was the red hats with the triangle and the blue CD on it. And so it's kind of a revamp of that. A lot of them are built based on what the local people want to do, and it really is to extend toward the big storms. So we just recently had a couple for this area that we hadn't had in many previous years, but we plan to use them more frequently, even maybe for first aid at any public event in any of the 3 communities, and anything going on where you would need extra safety personnel, or you might not have the amount of police officers and firefighters around, that we can cover more things. And they'll be tapped into us with a 2-way radio system, which I already purchased, and we're up and running. We bought a secondary radio system on VHF to meet federal narrow banding law that's coming up in January of 2013. And we put it in all our trucks because we have to stay on emergency frequencies for the state of Michigan, as well as if the 800 megahertz or open sky, Oakland County open sky system should fail, which a tornado taking out towers of any kind, 800 works like cell phones, it bounces off towers. So ours would go back to the old VHF ground system, narrow banded. So those are being installed in all our trucks, so we'd be able to issue those to CERT people who respond. Kind of the idea is that areas hit like the storm here, the CERT people will come out of their home, check their home, move around the neighborhood, the CERT people gather together, make sure their neighborhood's safe. Then as soon as they tag in with a police officer or firefighter, then they're into the whole incident command system, and we would apply them in places. They do limited searching, limited rescue. If it's beyond their scope of training and that, then they radio it in and we get a crew there. So they're helping us assess the storm damage, which is one of the issues we had with what they call a windshield survey out of FEMA for the communities applying for federal or state or county money. So that's one of the things it helps us with, is doing those damage surveys and putting people on the ground, making sure no one's not being taken care of.
Would any type of email communication system be part of this?
Yes, I have an email set up at Ferndale CERT at ferndalefirerescue.org, and you just got to spell it all out, FERNDALEFIRERESCUE.org. And that Ferndale CERT comes directly into me, and we have maybe 25 people have shown interest, and I've been holding off, and so we're going to get a big meeting together and format what this thing is going to be and what people would like to see.
Well, I guess maybe this is one of the things I'd like to see, is what I was talking about, is outgoing email. If we got organized that each block had an email block captain.
Yes.
That would be responsible for their email addresses in their block. Could this group
Yes.
be doing a blast to those block captains?
Yes, and for the commission to know too, I don't know what our plan is here locally yet, but if we set up a EOC, we equipped a room at the fire station with computer coverage and phone coverage, as well as radios. So we're in link with everything. So if there is a disaster, we can have a central point to meet and set up our own EOC before we kick it to the county emergency operations center, so that we can control things locally and keep on tabs, and where the politicians and the commanders can arrive, and then the field people can report back in. So there would be eventually a system set up like that. We also just started a program in Ferndale because of the power outage. A lot of people lost all their phones and they didn't have charging systems. So it's a go where you vote for your note, and it basically is much like they use for Firescope, California fires, Utah fires. They post posters of information at local area. So we're saying voting precincts will post information there. So if all the power's down on that, you don't know what to do. You go to where you vote, and there should be an information sheet on the wall where water is, what the dangers are, what's going on. So that way you are informed in case the email blasting system and that doesn't work, because most people in the dark had no way of getting their email on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Thank you, Chief.
No problem.
Thaddeus has learned the trick. He just jumps up. Your assistant escaped by She's gone.
I almost brought a visual aid, but I didn't. Maybe next month. But I have one. It'll be at the end. Okay, Mayor, Commission went to the recycling soccer meeting and found out about the bin blitz that we had last November. Our city sold 11 bins, which is okay, but the whole southeast Oakland area sold 651 bins, which is good. There's a lot of interest in recycling. And a lot of interest is higher now in Hazel Park. Hazel Park sold 93, to my surprise. Second item, recycling workshops are available in our city if there's a desire for it. So if people are interested, that want to have a recycling workshop here nearby, instead of going 13 miles round trip to Sacra, let us know. We could have one here, perhaps in Fort Ridge. Huntington Woods has an environmental meeting on Tuesday, the 24th at 7:30 p.m. at the library. And they also have programs about how to organize your house. Personally, I hope they have one about how to organize your garage. The electronics pickup was not this month, but it's going to be in April. That could save some miles for you too. So if you have a monitor, for example, that's not working, or if you want to just get rid of your monitor or a blender that's not working, you could bring it to to Huntington Woods instead of going all the way to Saco. Speaking of other workshops, Oak Park will be having 2 workshops. I got this hot off the press. It's about money-saving energy tips for your home and energy-saving cents for your business. You might say, gosh, I don't have a business, but perhaps you go to a worship establishment. Maybe you could help out your church by going to, it's going to be on Wednesday, February 8th in the morning, and one for the home is the same day, February 8th in the evening, 6 o'clock. I'll post this information on the bulletin board on cable TV. Almost the last one, the trophy that we talked about that we won from...
Sorry, where is it?
Yeah, I keep saying, where is it too? So I talked to Gail Gold, and she says, we're going to talk about it. It's coming Wednesday, not tomorrow, but the following Wednesday. So maybe I'll bring it here, maybe they're camera shy, I don't know. But we'll find out. The suspense will be over soon.
The mayor's dinner is next Wednesday. You can just ask Mayor Gillum to deliver it to us. Right there at the mayor's dinner. Perfect.
Okay, what time of day is that?
6:30
In the evening.
in the evening. So just give it to Mayor Gillum and he can present it in front of all the other mayors. Go over that.
Okay, we'll talk about that more.
All right.
Oh, upon popular request, I have a visual aid. This is a group of puppeteers that we met at the DIA, and they had a fabulous performance. And I just happened to mention about recycling. Do you have any videos about recycling, or can you make one? Well, they went to their truck, and they had a whole box full of these things. So I've been playing this off and on cable TV, visual aid. And it's hilarious. I've seen it about 25 times. And I just love it. When I watch it, I go,
Does it end the same way?
it's really good. It's really quality. If there was an Academy Award for this, I'd say this is
Nice.
This is it. I plan to play this after this City Commission meeting. Today it'll take a little bit of time, but I'll put it on a loop, so it'll be right after this meeting.
Great.
Beginning should be tomorrow. Any questions?
What would the recycling workshop entail? Is that someone coming here from...
A person from Sacra
Uh-huh.
can come over here. They had done this before. They come to Four Ridge, and it's advertised, and we come over there, and you get educated. It saves a lot of miles if you're in town instead of going all that way. I think it's great. But there won't be any if there's no interest. There has to be at least, I'm just guessing, on a half a dozen people if they're interested.
Would that be like an evening thing or a Saturday type thing to set up?
I think it can be both.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you were saying something about the monitor or electronics pickup type thing. And so Huntington Woods, they have a facility?
At their DPW,
Okay.
they will have a truck. Must have a truck, or one of those bins to gather recycling, electronic recycling.
And when did you say that is?
That is going to be, in April.
Okay.
No specific date.
Perfect.
Not yet. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you, as
Thanks.
always.
Thank you very much.
Any other governmental reports? Public discussion items not on the agenda. Mr. Gregor.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, staff. I wish I'd known about Chubb before. I'm not usually very entertaining. If I brought one along,
Would have
never know. First, I wanted to congratulate the new
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
commissioners and say that I looking forward to the time when I can say that I know you as well as I know your predecessors, and that I appreciate you as much as I had appreciated our predecessors. And that you have, I think, just a marvelous opportunity, because I don't necessarily believe in the precinct way of achieving our commissioners, but the very fact that we now have, I only have one commissioner at the end of my block instead of two within my block, and the mayor only has one within the block instead of two within the block. The fact that we have an opportunity to forget that Woodward Avenue is here, and that we're one city, and we can act as one and speak as one, I think you have an opportunity to really do a fantastic job. But that isn't the reason I'm here tonight. The reason I'm here tonight, and according to this, it's for information purposes only. I'll be less than 3 minutes, including the previous.
I already told you I was ignoring that.
I know. All right.
Yeah, we're going back the way we always had it.
And Commissioner Perry's already stolen my thunder. The main reason I'm here is to remind you all, and to take advantage of your bully pulpit here, the fact that the superintendent of schools is going to be at Four Ridge tomorrow night between 6 and 8, and other people. I'll leave some of these things which you already have, so you'll have still more of them if people are interested in them.
Great.
Everybody appreciates what you all have done and continue to do for the city. It's a strong city. It also is a strong school district. You can't both add to the other, and you have to have an appreciation for both of them. I want to speak just for a minute personally. All my kids have gone through the Ferndale school system. The youngest one, who's just graduated as a co-valedictorian, has never had anything but an A, finished her first semester at Michigan, again, has nothing but A's. So if you need some proof that a kid that will apply themselves can get a good education, can go on to one of our better forms of education and do well, I mean, this is a school district that does it. I believe that they have done. Jerry knows how unreasonable I can be with my criticism from time to time, both of this group, both of the city, and of the school district. Honestly, I believe that we were all ready to go in the dump receivership, money-wise, with the school system before we got our superintendent. We're just very, very lucky that we have this guy. What they're asking for at this point is not any extra money. It's just what they have now that would retire, 22 mills. They're there tomorrow evening to answer all your specific questions. And for a person like myself, a senior, long time in the district, recognizes that one of my major assets is my property, my house. You're going to maintain that the same as the city maintained its value when we voted money for the recreation center, the pool, and all of that. That has made us continue to be the city that we are, and this will help us to continue to be the school district that we are. And I recognize I'm taking advantage of something that I shouldn't be doing here, but I do appreciate it.
Mr. Greger, the election day is what day?
Is the 28th of February, and the 27th of January is the latest that if you're not registered, you need to be registered. And tomorrow night, between 6 and 8 at Four Ridge is when this is.
And if anybody has trouble remembering that day, Mitt Romney and Newt Gingrich and all the others will be reminding us constantly because it's the same day as the primary. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other items not on the agenda?
Christy Stoll, 126 Cambridge, and I would be remiss if I didn't start off with congratulating you, Grandpa.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
If you hang around, I'll show you a picture later.
Well, I think Debbie sent me a picture
Oh, she
probably
probably sent you
within
60 of them.
minutes of the birth. So I've seen several, and I have to get home to my own babies, so I probably won't hang out to see your pictures. I apologize. But that is why I'm here, because of my babies. And I have 3 children, and one is in 5th grade in the Ferndale schools, one is in kindergarten in Ferndale schools. And if I've done my math correctly, the other will be graduating in 2029. So I am here for the same reason, to ask for your support for the bond vote. If you want more information, I have some information here if I'm allowed to give that. I don't know if that's appropriate or not. But it is a $22.8 million bond, and it's continuing the $7 million that we all are already paying. So I realize it's semantics, but it'll just continue the same tax rate. It's not glamorous. It's for asbestos removal. It's for toilets. It's for sidewalk repair. I guess the most glamorous thing might be some new playground equipment at some of the schools. I didn't even realize this till recently. The Roosevelt School doesn't even have an operational kitchen. So in order to feed the children both breakfast and lunch there, they actually have to make the food at Kennedy or another school and transport it on a daily basis so that the kids can have hot lunch. So, it's real basic stuff, and we don't want to take money out of what the state gives us, what little the state keeps giving us, to take it out of the academic areas. So it's all building improvements. These buildings are old, and it's not like we live in Northville where we can just, go out to a big open field and build a giant new glamorous school. We've got to work with the 60-year-old building that we have, and every time they do a repair now, even though the asbestos is taped up, it kind of gets into that, and then you have more asbestos issues. You've got to go back in there, so the repairs now are so much more expensive. We'll get energy efficiency, get some savings that way. So just really asking for your support on the 28th, and again, I have more information if you would like it. I know Ann and Jason have been kind enough to come to some of our meetings to learn more, so they have a lot of knowledge about it as well. So that would be it.
Questions?
Christy, who determined what some of these needs were?
Good point. It was not the school board and the superintendent, I can tell you that. There was a group of 20 citizens from all walks of life that got together and literally went to the buildings, walked around, examined things, saw sidewalk cracks or pavement issues or ceiling tiles falling down, and also, of course, talked to people like Gary Safai and understood the pool, which, by the way, Pleasant Ridge swim team members, no matter where you go to school, if you're on that swim team, you're practicing the first month and a half at the Ferndale pool, so in the high school. So that group of 20 people tried to figure out exactly what were the most needed items for the schools, and that's what's on the bond. The absolute most needed things. But yeah, it was a good group of people across the community. Not all people with kids in schools or people that are related to the school district, somehow. I mean, obviously they're in the school district, but not necessarily related to school board members or teachers or what have you.
Can that money be shifted if the bond goes through?
My understanding is no, it cannot. I mean, the 20 people who formed or who came up with the proposal, they will serve on a steering committee. If anyone knows differently, correct me if I'm wrong, but they will serve on a steering committee to make sure that money is spent exactly how it is laid out. This is one document. There's also one from the Ferndale schools that lays out for each building exactly what it's for. So given that Roosevelt is in this city, concrete walk repairs, paving repairs, playground hard surface pavement replacement, playground equipment, stones, sills, banding repairs and replacement. I don't even know what that is because I can hardly change a light bulb, but that's another thing. Carpet replacement partial, corridor floor finish replacement, kitchen remodeling, restroom partition replacements, and furniture. They want the doors to be able to close in the restrooms. They want the kids not to trip on the sidewalks when they're outside. They want them to have safe playground equipment. So it's really all about safety and really just updating. And there are technical updates across the district too. And I'm on the Program and Technology Committee with the school board, and I have to say, some of what they're doing technology-wise, if any of you have high schoolers, middle schoolers right now, I mean, it's across the board, but high schoolers are being able to access their school work, their school classroom websites on their smartphone. Never imagined I could do that. But just, and that's the thing, the buildings were built before all this technology, so going in there and trying to update some of that so that they do have the wireless connections and things so that they can keep up to date with some of the newer schools.
Christy, you have the brochure there. For the record, could you direct any concerned residents or interested residents to a website or where they could go for more information?
Absolutely. This is this new organization that formed this year, which was at Citizens for Quality Schools. So the website is www.citizensforqualityschools.org. And and also there's information on the Ferndale Schools website, which is ferndaleschools.org. And I'd be happy if anyone would like to call me again. I'm at 126 Cambridge. My phone number is 248-398-6743. So questions, yard signs, anything like that anyone wants, let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And congratulations again.
Thank you. Any other items not on the agenda? Next item is consideration of the annual meeting schedule for the following commissions: City Commission, Historical Commission, Planning Commission / Downtown Development Authority, and the Recreation Commission. Sherry.
Mayor and City Commission, this is an annual request and requirement that the governing body of the community adopt an annual meeting schedule for the City Commission and the Junior Commissions. You have attached to your packet a memo that indicates the regular meeting dates, and that being the City Commission on the second Tuesday of every month at 7:30. There is an exception for the November meeting for the City Commission due to the election being on the second week, and that moves to the third Tuesday. Historical Commission meets on the first Wednesday of every month, and they meet, all junior commissions meet at 7 p.m. Historical Commission meets at the community center as well. The Planning and Downtown Development Authority meet at 7 o'clock on the fourth Monday of every month. They meet in this room, and occasionally they'll meet in the City Commission conference room. And the Downtown Development Authority meeting is called to order immediately following the Planning Commission. They are one and the same body of people. And finally, the Recreation Commission meets on the last Wednesday of every month. They meet at 7 o'clock at the community center. As detailed in the notice that will be posted and what you have before you, there are occasions where meetings are rescheduled. Those are done at the level of the junior commissions. For example, it is not unusual for meeting of the Planning Commission to fall on Memorial Day or Christmas holiday break, or if there isn't a quorum. So they are subject to change, but in general, those are the meeting times. So my recommendation is that the City Commission adopt the annual meeting schedule.
Are there any questions?
Sherry, what did you say was the election, the one due to an election was changed?
November.
November, okay.
That's not it?
It is. Normally it would be this year. It's not
Because it's leap year.
because it's leap year, so there's that extra day, so the election's earlier.
Oh, okay.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move the 2012 annual meeting schedule for the City Commission, Historical Commission, Planning Commission, Downtown Development Authority, and the Recreation Commission be approved as recommended.
Is there support?
I second that.
May we take a vote?
Commissioner Rubino?
Yes.
Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
Commissioner Bushy?
Yes.
Commissioner Krzyjak?
Yes.
Mayor Costelli?
Yes, motion carries. Next item is consideration of the resolution regarding the Woodward 5 Sustainability Grant. Sherry.
Mayor and City Commission, this is actually an exciting item. As you know, Pleasant Ridge is a participant, an active participant in the Woodward 5 group. It is a group of Woodward Corridor communities that was pulled together a couple of years ago with the idea of marketing this region as a great place to live and work. We developed a logo and a motto and have been able to do some cooperative and collaborative programs and events together. Most recently, this past fall we did, or in the fall of 2011, we did a great event, a realtors event, open house, and it included all 5 communities. We've also done trolley work together. About 6 months ago, there was an announcement for a grant. It was noticed by some of the members of the committee, and it seemed to almost be written for the Woodward 5, or at least that's the way I looked at it, because we were an established group and had already had under our belt some projects that we had done together. The grant was actually awarded by the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality to Oakland County Planning and Economic Development. And so the application for the Woodward 5 went to the Oakland County group. And to make a long story short, the Woodward 5 was awarded an $80,000 grant for this project. This project I use loosely because the whole idea of the grant will be to be able to use the county, excuse me, resources and all of their department staff and experts to actually develop a plan for projects that would benefit this entire region. So it is pretty exciting. Although there is much work to be done, and from what I have read on the requirements of the grant, there are layers of committees and responsibilities, and the 5 city managers will be attending its first meeting just to explain how this works and how it's administered under the direction of Oakland County. One of the first steps that is required, as usual in the application and in a grant process, is support by the governing bodies of each community. So you have before you a resolution that I drafted that I think addresses all of the requirements under the Sustainability Partnership, which is what it will be called. I will only add that this grant, it will address environmental, economic, and social priorities. So it's pretty broad, but it is exactly in keeping with the reason the Woodward 5 was even established. So my recommendation is that the City Commission support and authorize the responsibility of administering this grant and continue working as the group together. I think I addressed it as briefly as I could.
Obviously, it'll require the contribution of our administrative staff and members of our commissions, but is there any monetary match attached to this at all?
I am not aware of any monetary match, and we did look at that. They had a pre-application meeting, and so we did look at that before we applied, because obviously that's the concern of everyone. I am not aware. I believe that everything, in fact, the grant is not dollars coming to us. It's all, so, and I think the match is the same way.
This sounds very similar to when back in the 80s when I was on the Planning Commission and the county assigned Debbie Shutt to help us develop our first master plan, and we had her services at the expense of the county for a couple of years.
Yeah, for quite some time.
Yeah.
My understanding, and there aren't many that remember that on the group now, but yes, it sounds very similar to that, and the way that eventually evolved into like the WA3 too.
Yeah, what was the group before WA3?
Woodward Avenue Corridor.
Yeah, that involved in the
Study
corridor study group and then WA3.
So I think it has potential for great success, and if nothing else, will give us, will keep us on the path to benefits for this region, so that we're not thinking so singular.
Other questions of the city manager?
So the grant it's more in services from the county?
It's all in services.
It's all in services? And then, like, what types of things would it do? Sorry.
So, well, I think what it's going to do, and I'll know more after I attend the first meeting, but I believe the whole purpose of this is to identify and prioritize the needs and desires of this region, what best benefits this region, and ways that these 5 communities can work together to accomplish those. So, if you will, it's a planning grant, and will help us set out a project scope, if you will. And I know that's vague, but that's about the best I know. And I rely on the experts and expertise at the county level who have always, every department I've ever worked with, I mean, they are just incredibly helpful. So I think it has potential for great success.
I think it'd be really hard for you to give a definite answer because you're in the planning stage. It's
Not-
future.
yes.
Yeah, you're into a future development, so it could go anywhere.
At
We
this
look
point,
at-
it could, yeah.
That's right. But you're looking at development of the Woodward corridor that would improve the lifestyles and everything else, traffic flows, everything.
Right, which is exciting, and that's why I said it's almost as though it was written for this Woodward 5 group,
Yeah, it
because
seems that way.
you know the motto and logo was live life here. So and the whole purpose was, we need to attract people who may not know about a Pleasant Ridge, and as you and I talked about it, maybe you live in Howell or something, and you're moving to this area, you may not even realize that there is such a diverse selection of downtowns and homes of all different values and style right here. So, and we all know how convenient our location is in the greater scheme of things.
Because we're in the center of the universe.
We are. Yep. That's what I always say.
With that said, is there a motion?
I just have one more
Yes.
question. Sure, the other question is the Woodward 5 going to work in conjunction with the development of the rail system or the bus system? Is that going to be part of their plan so that they don't plan something that would interfere with the other plans that are going on?
Well, I would say this, that if there's one thing that is not needed, is more people involved in the transit issue.
Oh, I agree.
So, and we are well represented by Commissioner Perry currently, and that is such a hot topic right now. She has her hands full. So I would not think, other than in the greater scheme of things, I think transit will, apply to any future planning for the corridor.
That was my point.
Yeah. Yeah, we will always have that in mind, yes.
No, I don't think we need another group planning out traffic.
One other thing, if I may, Mayor, and I'll know soon, within the next month or so, as we learn what's going to be required, and I know, like I said, there's going to be layers of committees and responsibilities. I am sure of the fact that each city is probably going to be asked to appoint an elected official to serve in some capacity. That's all I know. I know that our economic development coordinator and planning consultant, John Icoangeli, has offered to serve in the capacity that would be his area of expertise. I'm making an assumption that this is something that you may, if she's willing, want to refer to Commissioner Perry as part of her obligation as
Commissioner of everything.
yeah, liaison to everything else. Is that, or if there's, a great desire by anyone else, I guess if you could let me know.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move the resolution in support of the Woodward 5 Sustainability Grant be approved as recommended, and Commissioner Perry do all the work. Just kidding.
That's important. Maybe take a vote.
Commissioner Rubino,
Yes.
Commissioner Bushy,
Perry votes no.
Right.
Our first no vote.
Commissioner Bushy,
Yes.
Commissioner Krzyjak,
Yes.
Commissioner Perry,
Yes.
Mayor Costello.
Yes, motion carries. Next item is consideration of the recommendation for member appointments to the Ferndale Youth Assistance Board. Sherry.
Mayor and City Commission, you have before you a letter that we received from the chairman of the Ferndale Youth Assistance. And in adherence to the bylaws of the group, we are being requested to approve the slate of officers for board membership on Ferndale Youth Assistance. I don't recall having to do this in the past, but right, so I think it's something that maybe someone drew attention to, and it does seem appropriate that all members would be asked to do so. So my recommendation, I've enclosed that request from Mr. Covey and recommend the approval of the nominations.
What is the Southeast Oakland Coalition the two of these people are from?
I don't know. We must be in it.
We just don't know it.
Commissioner Perry must be the liaison.
It's really good.
Yes, we have other volunteers. Is there a motion?
Hold on, where are we? Mayor, I move that the recommendation by the Ferndale Youth Assistance Board regarding the board member appointments be approved.
Is there support?
I support.
Can we take a vote?
Commissioner Perry,
Yes.
Commissioner Krzyjak,
Yes.
Commissioner Bushy,
Yes.
Commissioner Rubino,
Yes.
Mayor Costello.
Yes, motion carries. Sherry, if you could contact Craig and just find out a little bit more about the background of that group and ask that in future years we get some further information on the people.
Yes, I think, it seems to me this was pulled together quickly because
Yeah.
that was the only information, but I will.
Yeah, I was just curious because two of them are from the same organization. City Manager's report.
I'd like to take this opportunity to ask anyone in the audience or at home if you are available for 3 full days in March and a couple hour meetings later in the year. We have an opening on the Board of Review, and we do need someone to fill that position. One of the members has moved out of the community, and so it's often difficult to find someone because it does involve participation on 3 full weekdays in the month of March. So if you're interested and available, if you could contact the city clerk, the sooner the better. I don't have much news. I can tell you my update on Polar Environmental is we are in the process of scheduling the meeting between the city managers and the air quality division of the MDEQ. I did receive notice, or a formal notice, that the violation notice that was mailed to Polar, they have responded to that, and they expect to have the application completed and submitted to them by January 12th. So hopefully that's the case, and then once they have that at the MDEQ, at the Air Quality Division I should say, then they will send some dates for this meeting. And I'm not sure if the meeting will be another conference call, but I will keep you posted on that. You will recall that...
You and I talked about, I was at a client party after that incident and was talking to people who smelled the odor miles away.
Right.
Miles, many cities away.
One of the things I asked during the telephone conference call was the number of complaints that they had received, and specifically that the Air Quality Division had received, because I know with the fire department, police department, they of course received more. But really just to start a documentation of the responsibility of the MDEQ and what have they done in response to that. So the first thing was to try to get this number, and they were a little hesitant about whether or not they could come up with it, but they did respond. So I will tell you that in 2010 that the Air Quality Division received a total of 8 complaints. I am sure there's no doubt in my mind that there were probably more events than that, but I just think it was partly because people did not know to call MDEQ and get it on file. In 2011, there was a total of 32 complaints. That jump is specifically because of that December incident, and 28 of those 32 calls were on that evening or immediately following. So they only had 4 recorded in 2011. I was a little bit encouraged at least to receive that information, but we'll be following up, and I have spoken to the Ferndale City Manager, and I think after we have this next conversation, I think we're going to know how to go forward. I also received a copy of the settlement agreement from 2008 from Robert McGee, a former Ferndale elected official, and told him I would be interested in meeting with him because I think he has gathered some information that could perhaps save me some time or conversations that aren't, that don't need to be duplicated. So I'll keep you informed.
Sherry, one thing if I could just add, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
I did speak to Rebecca Loftus at Department of Environmental Quality. She's the contact woman on this issue, Polar specifically, this incident. And one thing she did compliment this governing body on and members of this community was the effort to educate the residents. And I think that's reflected in the statistics that Mrs. Ball just mentioned. The number of calls, because we advertised that number and directed residents as to contact the state offices. Mrs. Loftus was really encouraged by that and would also want me to encourage the residents to contact her specifically with any future complaints regarding the Polar situation. There's a pollution emergency phone number that's on the Department of Environmental Quality Resource website, and that should be used for emergencies unrelated to Polar. But she would request. She asked me if I would pass this along, that if a resident in this community has a specific Polar complaint, that they contact her office directly. And if I could give that number right now, it's 1-586-753-3735. And she said if she's not there, the resident could dial hit 0, and they'll be directly put in touch with a live body in her office during business hours, 8 to 5 p.m. But she said because she's handling this case, she will see the incident report more quickly than if it goes through the pollution emergencies phone number. So that was just something she wanted me to pass along.
Great, thank you. And it's just so important that people understand that they must report these. It's like the DTE power things.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't contact the Public Service Commission, then we're making phone calls with very little to back us up. So
Right.
call them and just call them daily.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have much to report it, but I will beat Commissioner Krzyjak to the punch on the fire contract. Other than to tell you that discussions continue and they are encouraging, and I expect to have probably some movement within the next few weeks, and we are working toward resolution of a contract. And with that, the only other thing I wanted to bring to your attention was in the information items, there was a resolution regarding the service quality and reliability standards by DTE Energy. And as you know, I contacted all of the city managers in our region, and we met once. We will be meeting again in 2 weeks from now. And with the idea in mind that we must have resolution to these frequent power outages and the poor quality of service that DTE provides. There is a resolution that the Royal Oak City Commission adopted. It had to do with an incident that happened in their city where there was a downed wire, and downed wires they will get to as needed, but often emergency personnel such as police and fire are left to guard that wire. In this particular incident, the lack of service and poor service resulted in a house fire. And so the Royal Oak City Commission asked that every community take a look at this. I have added to their resolution because their resolution talks specifically about wire down relief, but I also added to that for our purpose power outages as well, because I think we all have seen that there is certainly threat to safety and life in those occasions as well. So there is no action required. I just wanted to make you aware that this is out there and make everyone aware of the fact that I have not forgotten the DTE issue and have made a commitment to try to get something done to improve the quality of service. And I have no further business.
Any other business?
I have some other business, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
I know Mr. Greger had announced that the close of registration for the February primary was January 27th, but is actually January 30th. So that will be the last day to register to vote. Absentee ballot applications are available at City Hall, and there will be one up on the website tomorrow that you can download and send back in. On the application, you'll notice that you must declare a party, either a Republican Party ballot, a Democratic Party ballot, or just a ballot that has the millage language on it. If that's not checked off on your absentee ballot application, it will be sent back to you so that it can be checked off when you're mailed the appropriate ballot. You'll also have to declare in the polls which ballot you'd like to.
And are you here for the Saturday before the election for absentee ballots?
The Saturday before the election, which is February 25th, I will be in the office from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. for absentee ballots.
Okay, thank you. Any other business? Any motions to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there support?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned. Can I see?